Hey guys, my name is KD. Welcome back to the Clean Slate podcast. I'm so excited that you've decided to join me on this journey. Today is the episode where I start telling you about my story. Not gonna lie, a little nervous, but bear with me throughout this journey. Once again, hopefully this can help someone out there. So last year, 2024, I was turning the keys to my house that I had purchased a few years before. And I was leaving the town that I had been in, or that I've been working in, that I had children in, that I had grown in, or that had grown on me. I was leaving the town that I had been in for 18 years. And I was essentially going back to my parents. It was a key and determining moment because a lot of things had happened in a very short span of time. This was my home that I was living in with my children, that I was also selling. I was basically leaving that behind. I was leaving my church behind, my community behind, my job. I ended up staying for a couple more months, but I left my job as well eventually in 2024. The life that I had known, I left it completely so I can go back to live with my parents, with my two youngest children. Fall 2022, I created this group chat with my parents, my siblings, and my brother and sister-in-law, and I called it Help. And I'm laughing because several times during my marriage, my family has offered to help me, and I just wasn't ready to receive that help. So when I created that group chat called Help, and sent a message to my family and said, I am getting ready to separate with my husband at the time, and I need your help. My family was amazingly helpful. And I'm saying amazingly because we tend to, whenever we're living in our own world, we tend to believe that we're by ourselves and that people will not understand. But my family came to my rescue immediately. After I created the group chat, I was preparing to tell my husband at the time that I wanted him to leave the house because I did not want to leave. So I was preparing to tell him that, and I was bringing my family as a backup. My husband at the time, or my ex right now, he's a pretty good judge of character. He's really good at reading people. And so he must have seen that something in me was changing, because he did something that he typically does. It wasn't the first time that I had decided that I wanted to leave the marriage. But every time he found a way to reel me back in, or I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to make the actual step. But when I involved my family, that was really the time that I knew I was gonna go all the way. He must have seen it because he sent the kids away to stay with a cousin of his, and then he started talking to me. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but he has this tactic. I believe it's a tactic, anyways, from my end. But he has this tactic where he will speak for a very long period of time, and speak and speak and speak until I get tired emotionally, psychologically, of the conversation, and so I just give in. And I'm a person that's naturally complacent. I don't like arguments. I don't like confrontation. So most of the time it worked, where he would just speak to me for hours, and then I would just essentially give in to whatever he wanted. So he's proceeded to doing that with me at that time. And I was really decisive. I did not want, he was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. What should I do? He really saw that something was happening. He was trying to, I guess, save the relationship by telling me that he was going to do whatever I wanted, which is something that's happened before. So this was a cycle, and I knew this cycle, which is why I brought in reinforcement. As he was talking, I kind of found a way to cut the conversation short. I went to the bathroom and texted my family that was kind of waiting in a parking lot nearby. I told them, okay, it's time to come. So then as I'm coming out, he's about to proceed to continue the conversation, and my family rings the doorbell. Well, my father, my brother, and my sister, there were other people in the car, but like these are the three people that decided to come to the door. My father is a pastor, so is my brother. And so they rang the bell. My ex opens the door and lets them in. And then automatically his demeanor changes because there's other people there. So he's being very respectful and he's like, oh, you guys are here, etc. And so, they come in, they sit down, and they let him know that I've called them. And at that point, I'm quiet. I'm quiet because I'm afraid of his reaction. And I know how far I've brought this, because typically speaking, I don't bring other people into our marriage. I don't bring other people into our circle, but now I have. And so I understand the dangers of that, because he's not going to take that well as soon as they leave. And so my dad starts speaking, and my brother as well, my sister as well. They're letting him know that I've never asked for help. And so if I'm at the point where I'm asking for help, it's because it's escalated too far and that he needs to leave. We kind of go back and forth. There's a back and forth, but like eventually he does leave, because he's not the type of person that's going to misbehave in front of other people. And so he ends up leaving that night. And I've gone to a Canadian Tire, bought a new lock so he doesn't come back in the house. I've taken measures and put some processes in place so that I can protect myself, because I know there's going to be repercussions. It's the middle of the night. My family ends up leaving. The locks are changed, and my family leaves. And I'm in the house with my children. My ex is gone. 2 days later, I had just picked up my son from the daycare. I come back home, and the police is in front of my house. He has essentially contacted the police, and he has informed himself of his rights. Essentially, this is the matrimonial home, and so I don't have a right to kick him out. And he's now taken knowledge of that, and so he's returned to his home. And if I want to oppose that, I can get arrested, or I can deal with the police. But he's entitled to be there. And so I have my son in the car. At the time, my son is very young. My youngest is very young. He's still in a car seat. And he's returned with the police. I try to talk to the police. The police is like, there's nothing we can do here. I've never made a report to the police about him being, dangerous or abusive or anything like that. Like, they're like, we don't have any causes to kick him out of his own house. And so I'm not staying in that house. I cannot go back to that house. I'm afraid of the repercussions. And so I leave with my youngest. I found a place to sleep that night with my children. So I stay there that night. The following day, as he's not in the house, because we had cameras, which he had made me install in the house, but everything is under my name. So I remotely look at the cameras. I can see that he's out. So I text my friend. I guess apparently he's at a conference. I see a window. I turn off the cameras. I run into the house, grab everything that I can from my children, put them in garbage bags, throw them in the car. And then throughout this process, I'm shaking because I'm afraid that he comes back. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I've never taken things that far, so I don't know how he's going to react. And so I put all my stuff in the car, all my garbage bags. My kids are in the car. And then I ended up finding another place to sleep. So I leave. A few days later, the pastor comes with me. We try to talk to him, asking him to leave. He refuses to leave. And so I end up having to contact a lawyer because I can't go back to my house. And I'm outside with my children trying to figure out where I'm going to sleep. I don't know what to do, but I know I don't want to go back. And this is a very crazy situation for me and my children because we don't have a place to sleep. I have been here for the longest time. My kids still go to school over there. I'm trying to figure out how to bring them to school, do whatever I have to do. And I'm faced with a big realization that I need to make a radical move towards myself, towards my children, and for my marriage, or else I'm gonna find myself in the street, or else there's gonna be repercussions. So I contacted a lawyer, and as I'm speaking to the lawyer, she's informing me of my rights. I don't really have many. I have to go to court, and I have to go to court to fight to get back into my house. And in order for me to do that, I have to prove that there's been abuse in my marriage, and that it's not safe for me to stay here in the same house as him, because ultimately that's what he wants. He wants me to come back home so we can figure this out. But I don't want to do that, and I'm afraid to do that. I have to make a decision, and I decide to follow the legal route. So this is how this whole thing started. This chain of reaction kind of got me thinking about my marriage and about my situation. There's a lot of things that were happening in my marriage, in my life, that I let happen. There's a lot of things that I was a victim of, but I didn't realize, or I kind of shut it down because I didn't want to identify as that. All I wanted at first, at the separation, was to get some time to think, recalibrate, see what I have to do. But the chain of events that happened made me realize that I was not in a loving marriage, that I was in a marriage where the other person's needs came before everybody else, including the children, and that it was okay for us to be on the street, and they were in the household. Although I had brought people in to explain how I did not feel safe, like I needed to have some time for myself. They were categorical. It took all of these events for me to realize that I needed to fight for my life, and that I needed to fight for my children's lives. I'm a Christian, so it was hard for me to get to that point. Initially, I just wanted to separate because the church looks at divorce as a really bad thing, and that's not what I wanted to do. I really wanted to try and work things out. And I grew up, my dad is a pastor, so I grew up in a very strict environment where you don't get a divorce, you get married for life. So I felt a lot of shame in regards to that. I felt a lot of shame about the relationship I was in and how I let a lot of things happen in my marriage that I shouldn't have. I felt a lot of guilt from so many things that we'll have time to share. But that separation was the most courageous thing I had done in my life, because it was against everything I knew. It was against everything I understood. I had tried to fix my marriage and try to do all the steps to try to fix my marriage and see how it could be better, or it could become better. I looked for help. I went to speak with the pastors. I really tried to do everything I could to save my marriage. I tried to let stuff go. And I realized that what people expected me to do was not what I needed to do. Making that move really helped me. This is not me saying that everybody should separate. If you're having some issues, that you should separate. But I think that there is an importance in having a safe space for you to put your marriage or your situation into perspective. And that perspective gave me the answer to what I want to do next. And that really shifted my life, and it shifted in an important way, because even though it seemed like I lost everything, because as I said, I lost my job, I lost my houses, I lost my community, my church, I found myself again. And that was the most important thing, because I was dying. I was dying inside, and I don't think I would have survived this marriage. So having an opportunity, a safe space for you to put your life into perspective is important. You have to put yourself in a situation where you can reevaluate your life and reevaluate yourself. If you're not able to do that, or if you're not in an environment where you can do that, it's important for you to put yourself in that environment and to fight for yourself. Making this decision and coming to that point saved my life. I'm not saying that divorce is the ultimate goal here. In my situation, it was, and I'll share that with you in the next episode for a lot of reasons. But perspective is important. Prayer is important. Separation sometimes is important. Putting some time for yourself and really shifting your mindset towards you and making some introspection, having introspection for yourself is important. So I encourage you to do that. And then you'll know what to do. God will reveal to you what to do. You'll have a clear understanding, a clean slate. And it's never too late for that. So looking forward to tell you more about my story. Feel free to share, feel free to comment. We're gonna keep going step by step, but feel free to share and comment. I really wanna hear from you. I wanna interact with you. And as I said, it's never too late to start with your own clean slate. God bless.